Okay, chapter 29. Gam hina Hitbonenut was verkehlen dat Zielus Prat Yeter. En klalus ve'ikar mekuvan bohem rak b'inyan zeh divu chayechad v'gamoyechad. Be'emes en hefresh ben ivu chayechad livu gamoyechad. וגם שהארץ הן בלי מה והקל מבחינת יש כולו מכל מוקם מצד עצמות המעשיל הרי עשר שורש לשחבוס הכלם קודם שעשר שורש לשחבוס הארץ ומה שמתאבוס הארץ נעשה כלי הרי קודם לזה עצמו שורש ומוקר והוא שנקרא חמר הפושט או חמר היולי שקודם לצורה. So, what he's saying here basically is that the Keli comes before the Keli really comes before the light. And the basic explanation on that is like a balloon or a tire. That it gets hard and it gets its body and shape from the air. Like a Mickey Mouse balloon. But really the Keli comes before that, the actual, like the empty balloon, it looks like nothing, it looks like just a floppy piece of rubber, really came before that, and that had to stop the air, otherwise there would be no estabus of air. So even though that really the whole balloon is really nothing but air, that's what gives it its whole shape and whole everything. But really there had to be a chaymer before that to hold that air in. A more magushim thing than air. That's like a basic marshal on that, you know.
Right.
Or like those buildings, you know, that they have a thing blowing into them all the time. Balloon buildings, basically.
Right.
So, the basic thing is that the Keli really preceded the light. In other words, the idea of the final world, which was like the empty balloon without a soul in it, preceded the whole Indian of the line of blowing the light into it. So there was like already in the Tzimtzum, like the Tzimtzum has no dimensions whatsoever. It's like that balloon before it gets blown up, you know, and then you take it and you blow it up with the light that comes back, a line of light. But really, the first thing that came up was the idea of what the chaymer of the final world will be. So the body of the Jew came up in machshava before the soul of a Jew.
Right.
Otherwise, you wouldn't need this world at all. The whole world was dafka for the body.
Right.
Same thing like for tefillin, all the stuff that it does up in Antilus and stuff like that. The first thing that came up was dafka the final physical leather tefillin. There should be a physical mitzvah like that.
Right.
So the Keli really came up first. And there's an Indian of that the Keli is actually, like it explains in certain places, that the Keli is the final physical world is not part of the Hishtalshelut. It's directly from the Atzmut.
Right.
What does that mean? It means that the Hishtalshelut Yesh Me'ein is actually the Hishtalshelut of the light.
Right.
And even the Kalim, you say, but there's Kalim in Hishtalshelut, so we keep talking about lights and vessels. Yeah, it says, yeah, but those lights and vessels, those vessels are really basically the thing that it comes from the Isavus of the light.
Right.
But there wouldn't be a Isavus of the light in the first place if there wasn't a Keli that preceded the whole thing. Where you knew what you wanted, so that the Hisavus of the Kalim Vatzilus, for instance, is just the Hisavus of lights.
Right.
Which make it into the Kalim Vatzilus, and these Kalim Vatzilus become the light of the next level.
Right.
But however, if you didn't have an actual thing of a Keli that preceded the light, you couldn't have had the first Hisavus of the light at any point, because lights don't just misabed. There has to be a Keli to hold them back.
Right.
The same thing like water or air. Because anyway, the whole thing is a mushal, really. Like water or air, if you wouldn't have a Keli, you wouldn't have it, and this is like a thing of like a popsicle, you know. A popsicle comes from the hisavus of the water. You freeze it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you didn't have a mold in the first place, you couldn't have made the popsicle. You can't make a popsicle without having a keli that, first of all,
something has to hold the water.
holds it together while it's getting thickened.
Right.
You know, so that's what he's saying here, that there's basically a keli that comes before the lights. And the keli that comes before the lights is the fact that the end physical world was really the first thing, and that's the whole thing that's holding everything together. Even the kelim of Atzilus are really preceded by the original machshava for what your final thing is going to be.
Right.
So בי"ד ידוע מוב מהקדומה ידוע בעניין כלים מקביל לממש שיש בייס מיני גבול. האחד כוח המקביל בעצם, כמו כלי המוח המקביל והעין המקביל כאי גבנה, אבל לא רק בכוח ולא בפועל עדיין. כמו שיש בכוח ביד להגביל כל תנועה בגשם, קודם שיגביל בפועל ממש. Atnua, before the hand has this power of Hakbola before it actually makes any particular tnua. V'achal pi shegvul zeh shlepoel v'gilui hu mamish kmo efen oiso koach hamagbil aruch nish bayad. In other words, it's according to what the power is. Like the power of the eye can have sight, and the power of the hand can have movement. Shu moker b'sheres l'Hakbola zu shlepoel. Mikol mokem nivdal erech hagvul bekoyach hamagbil bepoyel. It's a whole different type of gvul. Ha'echad shezeh ruchni ba'atzmi v'zeh gashmi v'nivdal min ha'etzem. The koyach hatnua is really a ruchni. It's not an actual tnua, and it's a atzmi. Right. It's part of the etzem. And the actual gvul of the actual tnua is nivdal min ha'etzem. It's in physical.
Right.
והבית שהגבול בכוח אינו גבול ממש, רק שמקביל בכוחו על פי רוצן ובחירה. It's not a matter of the actual gvul, it's just the opposite. It means that he has a rotzen and bchira to make a hakbola. Ve'eno gvul muchach. It doesn't mean that he has to do this particular gvul. Loima she'en lo koach hitpashtus oid, meaning that he couldn't put out more. That, in other words, like if he wants to give $50, doesn't mean that he can't give $100.
Right.
And a person who only has $50, that is an actual gvul. But in the Eibishter, it means it's not an actual gvul. Like in the Koach HaTnuah, he doesn't have to make a particular tnuah at all.
Right.
And he doesn't have to make this tnuah, he can make another tnuah. He makes this tnuah because that's what he wants to make. And this is just that the koach hakbol makes hakbola, and it's not an actual gvul. Shu Akbola Amitis. That's a real Akbola. And this explains about the Pnimis Ritzonis HaKelim. וכך יובל למעלה בשורש ומוקר כלים מקבילים לעיר. דהיינו בשורש ומוקר כוח המקביל שלהם. שבא ונמשך מן העצמות. Meaning the actual koyach to make the kelim in the first place comes from the atzmos. Shemishan nimshach is havus or atzmo. The same place where the light comes from, that's also where the power of the gvul comes from. K'moi moker is havus rotzen mehelem etzem moker lekol rotzen. Hare misham gam nimshach koyach hagvul lahagbil koyach it pashus rotzen. Shaloi pashut oid k'dei shiyuchal liot tam l'rotzen. Shim lo yapoisek koyach rotzen lo yabal oilam miklal tam l'rotzen. Who in my Kava Mida, I used to call Gvul V'Poel, like we explained before, that the Kava Mida had the power of all Gvul. Mamish Ba'Iris. The Kafu is to call Gvul V'Poel Mamish B'Kelim, that's the spheres of Makbilim. So it's the Kava Mida has both powers because it gets both of these powers from before, like was explained, the power of the Tzimtzum and the power of the light.
Right.
But really the actual keli comes first, really. Because in Machshava, like for instance, when you plug a thing into the wall to get the power, the whole thing is not that you just wanted power to come out. The whole thing is you wanted, like the vacuum cleaner, to clean the floor. It's the kalim that you want more than the lights. The lights is just what enlivens the kalim.
Right.
The kacho is to call Gvul V'Poel Mamish Kalim that's the first Mabilim. Ech she'akvilu V'Poel Mamish. Aval moker v'shoyve shalohem eino pinas gvul amiti. It's not a real gvul that they're actually mugbal. Rak shu eiset oifen akbola. In other words, it's the rotzen of the Eibishter that does it. It's the koyach hapchira of the Eibishter that does both of them.
Right.
Shezeu ba mi kava mida, and kava mida really comes from higher, like he explained over there. Mipchinas gvurus orein seif. Pinas koyach hamakabed shedoiche lekach hamitpashit. Which chesed is...
Dome.
Huh?
Shedome lekach hamispashit.
No, it should be doiche.
Over here it says dome.
Well, they corrected it.
Right.
They thought it's a correction. It shouldn't have been a correction. It should be doiche. The original here is doiche. And that's what it means. Gvura the orange pchinas koyach hamakabed shedoiche lekoyach hamitpashit. Not doime. It's the opposite. It's doiche. I guess you could say doime also, but as far as that, it's both infinite. Ubeis kovin shkulenhen, and they're both equal. The same power of the Hitbonenut is the same power of kibbutz. Means like Chesed and Gvura of Ein Sof. He called Yochol Yesh Bo Koyach HaMakbil Gam Ken Chulu. It's the same meaning of Kol Yochol. He can spread out infinite and he can stop it. Moshe Mavor Mokamacher. V'Vola Malash Zo Pchinas Harshimu. That this Harshimu is the Koyach HaMakbil. And Oirin Soif is the Koyach HaMitpashit, Chesed. And the line is a combination of both of them. Like it said before, Ve'ha Noira. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Tiferes. Shemisham Usherish Akbolos Akela and the Esses Spheres Datzilus. ומבחינת הקו שנמשך מהרשימו הוא שורש כל הערך ולוק כמו שבוע מוקם אחר בעריכוס. And it's also the shayrish of all the akbolas. It's a combination of the two of them. V'im ken gam shevchinas hakelim da'atzilus magbilim mamish b'bchinat shemes da'ab sag anikri and aisiyes הרי אין זה רק מצד כוח העשר לגבול שבעצמוס המצו. והיינו דיור בגרמו אחד מכוח דאינסוף עצמי, כמו דיור בחיי אחד. בבחינת הארץ כולו. Really, it is the same power. Even though it seems like that over in the lights they're connected directly and they're blima. And the kalim, the whole thing of the kalim is not that they're disconnected from the mocker.
Right.
And that they're in a way of a metzius of a davar ma.
Right.
But nonetheless, it's the same Eibusher is making both of them. Not only that, it's the actual final thing that you want. It's the lower world that he wants. It's the final kalim of the lowest world that he wants. Ube'emes Gam Pchinas HaKelim De'es Esfiros D'Atzilus Hen Koach HaGvul Lo Gvul B'Poel. So now he's saying, so how come before he said it's like a Gvul B'Poel? He says it depends in comparison to what? In comparison to the Asmus, remember in the Olamas the Klalus, Atzilus is Asiya.
Right.
But as far as our world, Atzilus is still part of the Etzem.
Right.
So it's still a matter of a koyach hagvul, v'lo gvul b'poel, because as far as Asiya, that's a gvul b'poel. As far as Atzilus means the etzem aseichel. Not the bina, but the etzem aseichel.
Right.
Not the machshava. Machshava dibur ma'aseh is the etzem aseichel, which, like he said before, like the etzem hamoyach and etzem aseichel, that's it's not a gvul b'poel, it's a koyach hagvul. רק השער בשפע נקבע מאין ליש בביאה, אז נקבע גבול בפועל ממש. It's only in Biyah that when you're talking about the Olamas Pratius, it's in Biyah. But in Olamas Klalius, so why did he say before that Atzilus is a poil? Because in Olamas Klalius, that is Biyah. As a matter of fact, even Ak is already considered a gvul up there.
Right.
Why should buy Bez HaShem? Well, the Pizza Mekav B'Shem is the Absag. Shehem B'Pchinas HaKelim Magbilim Mamish. Hulu. Areze Atzma Kavona B'Mokar HaShem is the Absag. Like for instance here, that we're Mekavin in these letters and words. But the Kavona is not in the letters. The Kavona is in the actual idea of the Shaar HaYichud.
Right.
Which is upstairs. Shemehem nimshach mokar or datzilus. The names of Absag of Ak, like he said before, from which these kalim actually precede the light of Atzilus, actually. So hu shema etzem shu moirel etzem a mokar kanal, that shows on the etzem of the thing. So shema etzem is like, what do you call that? In English, a proper
noun.
Yeah, so the Shema Etzem means that, like, various things, like when we said Shmuli, so it shows on actually Shmuli himself.
Right.
Or when you say a cat, it shows on a cat itself. V'hainu mimoker hishavus hakelim, de'ugvar v'gamoy echad. It's from the actual mocker. It really shows on the mocker of the hishavus hakelim. That's when you're mekaven on the outer name, you're really mekaven automatically on the inner name. Umela move on the gav of china tikunin anal. Al zeh amar gam ken uve gamoy chad. Mishum de gvul bepoel. So even on the external tikunin, it says even there, and even all the way down to the kalim in Biyah. Why? Because gvul bepoel mitachid ma gvul bekoyach. Amagvil gvul zeh shebepoel. Al derech dugma mikoach amagvil shebayad shebiyuchad mekusha begvul bepoel atnu kanal. Like for instance, if somebody takes a baseball bat and hits somebody else over the head, it's his etzem that did it. It's connected to the etzem koyach hamagdol. That he did the Kabbalah to have this particular tnuah.
Right.
So therefore, he's guilty of that. That's why you can go and you say, "What do you mean? It's a tnuah. What do you want from me?" He says, "Yeah, but you did it." Those for sure are not called a gvul v'poel. It's just an ability, like the moyach, like your brain. The brain doesn't mean that there's an actual hakbola of any particular thought yet.
Right.
It's just that there could be. Or the eye also doesn't mean that. Or the hand. It doesn't mean a particular tnuah. It's just a kachat tnuah. But certainly in moicha liba kabda, which are the inner kalim, certainly is not a gvul v'poel. Rak shemagbilim atarim la'eved sheyen nikra b'metzius yesh b'lvad. It only brings it to a hakbola of a metzius yesh that the moyach is now a hiyuli for haskolas.
Right.
And the eye is a hiyuli for
Sight.
And the heart is a hiyuli for emotions. It's not that there's actually emotions yet. But it's already magbil to a particular hiyuli. So it already does give it a mad that the moyach is haskolas, and the heart is emotions, midos, and the liver is itpilus amidos, the gut feelings.
Right.
Where are we?
Kabbalah. The last word.
Nikra Metzius yesh l'vad, aval yesh lahem shoresh ba'atzmus, kmo sheyesh la'eresh shoresh ba'atzmus, b'shokol. It's mamish, they're equal. So it's not like the lights are really higher than the kalim. If you're at all going to say which is higher, it's actually the kalim are higher than the lights. That's what it says. Eshes chayla teres baila.
Right.
That as a matter of fact, the whole thing of a keli is like a kesser. It's an outside thing that holds it in. The koyach u'moker echad mamish, is mamish one power and one moker. Shehu pchinas ein sof mamish. The kmo she'ein seif lamata ad chulu, kach l'mayla chulu. The same thing that the light can go up into total infinity. Yeah. It can go down into total finiteness.
Let me flip the tape. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead. The same like the Abish has the power to go up, meaning to go totally infinite. The same thing, he has the power to go down, means to go totally finite. And it's mamish one power. She'en chesed u'gvur sheba'atzmus. And that's chesed u'gvur sheba'atzmus. So the light is the chesed, and the tzimtzum is the gvura. V'amnam ba'ed v'kel mishorshach napachu. But in the Sheirish, you look at it backwards, which in general, Chesed and Gvura turn over and over. That the thing is that when two people face each other, if I face you, my right is your left. So the right of the Makabel is the left of the Mashpia. So over there is the opposite. Mepchinas Giluyin, maybe Mepchinas Giluyin. In the upstairs is the opposite. The begiluyin are pchinat tzimtzum ba'eris v'chasadim b'itpashtus b'kelim. The lights are the ones that get lessened. Not only that, the the light has to be, the gvura has to go into the light. And the pashtus is dafka and it's dafka the karachat tzimtzum, which is the chesed, not the karachat pashtus, because without the tzimtzum you won't be able to give over to the mashpia, to the mashpia to the mekabel. The gam shem magbilim al yodam call it pashtus lamata dafka. So b'sheisham lehepo. That tzimtzum b'rishimo eis agvul b'koyachu v'chasodim b'it pashtus lo eretz. So upstairs, as far as the Eibusher himself is concerned, the light is the chesed, and the tzimtzum is the gvura. But from our side, it's the other way around.
Right.
That the tzimtzum is the chesed. Because otherwise we wouldn't be able to get it. We wouldn't be able to exist, as a matter of fact.
Right.
And the light is the gevura, like what it said about Maisis Ancherev. Machmas Ancherev. What he did by them is he gave them excess light, more than they could take. And it blew them up. So like if the sun would get too strong, the whole chesed is that the sun is kept is far away from us, and even that is through a masach.
Right.
You know. So that's the thing of in general that Chesed and Gvura turns over. Marshal Macher, Daila Maven.